Welcome back to ACT Prep here at Mountain Crest. Today, for the English section, we're going to look at commas, dashes, and colons. Now, just so you know, there are so many different ways to use commas. There are a few ways to use dashes and a few ways to use colons. When we're talking about these today, we're actually talking about specific uses of commas, dashes, and colons. There are others that we won't talk about today. So let's take a look at this. So our objective today is to learn how to use a couple of principles for commas, dashes, and colons. So commas and dashes. The first principle we're going to look at is one way to use commas and dashes is to separate non-essential information from the rest of a sentence. Non-essential information is defined as information you can remove from a sentence and the sentence will still be complete. Okay, so I'm going to, just to clarify because this gets a little muddled, non-essential information is information you can take out of a sentence. Okay, commas and dashes are used to separate off that non-essential information from the rest of the sentence. Let's look at an example and this will make a little more sense. I'm going to show you the example first and then we'll go back. So the example here, the microwave cooking process, accidentally discovered by Percy Spencer in 1945, was patented by the Raytheon Corporation in 1946. We've got two commas here. Okay? All the information within those two commas, this phrase is non-essential information. We know it's non-essential information because if we took it out of the sentence will still be complete. So if we took this whole thing out and read the sentence, the microwave cooking process was patented by the Raytheon Corporation in 1946. So again, the example here is, let me go back, where the principle is you use commas and dashes to separate non-essential information from the rest of the sentence. Non-essential information from the rest of the sentence by using 1, 2 commas. Okay. Oh boy, this is getting messy. Let's go back now. So the question then is, how do you identify if a phrase is essential? All you have to do is do what we just did. You take that information that's surrounded by the commas, you remove it from the sentence. Okay, and then you say, if the sentence is still correct with that information being taken out, then you know the phrase that you just took out is non-essential, and you can separate it by commas or dashes. If after you take out that essential information or within the information within the commas, and the sentence is not correct, then the phrase that you just took out is essential, and you cannot take it out or separate it with commas or dashes. So let's clean this up here and look at it again. Okay. So what we do first is we identify this information surrounded by commas. And then we take it out of the sentence. The microwave cooking process was patented by the Raytheon Corporation in 1946. Because this does make sense, that means this information is non-essential, and because it's non-essential, we can include it by separating it off with commas or dashes. Okay? So accidentally discovered by Percy Spencer in 1945 is non-essential information, so we can separate it by commas or dashes. Okay. By the way, we didn't mention this before, but you can also separate it with parentheses. In fact, this non-essential information is also called a parenthetical phrase because you could separate it off with parentheses. So you can separate it with parentheses, with commas, or with dashes, only if that information is not essential. Okay, so let's figure this one out. Having learned even more about whales since that day, I am amazed that they remain mysterious to me. For my father is a commercial fisherman. Whales are a common sight. Having grown up near the ocean, I realize my father and I are not alone in our fascination, yet each time he sees one, he too is in awe. So the underlying information we're looking at is just this sentence here. Okay, so let's see if this information is non-essential. What's going on? For my father is a commercial fisherman. For my father is a commercial fisherman. Whales are a common sight. What's happening here is they're trying to say my father, who is a commercial fisherman, whales are a common sight. That's the parenthetical phrase. It's not making any sense right now because this is not correct. For my father is a commercial fisherman. So right off, we know that this is not, we do definitely need to make a change. So our first correction could be B. For my father, comma, no is, a commercial fisherman, whales are a common sight. Now, that only works if a commercial fisherman is non-essential information. So let's see if it's non-essential. Remember, it's non-essential if, when we take it out, the rest of the sentence makes sense. So let's read the rest of the sentence. For my father, whales are a common sight. That makes sense. So a commercial fisherman is non-essential information. And instead of using the is, the correct answer would be B. For my father, comma, take off the is, a commercial fisherman, comma, whales are a common sight. It would not be C. Let's put that in C. It says, for my father being a commercial fisherman, comma, whales are a common sight. That's not going to be a non-essential information. For my father without, when we look at D, my father without the comma, again, you're going to need that comma because it's not essential information. So the correct answer is B. So in summary, go ahead and write this down. Commas and dashes are used to separate non-essential information from the rest of the sentence. Information is non-essential if you can remove it and the sentence is still correct. An example here is the windmill dunk, invented by Julius Erving, was never seen in the NBA before 1973. Again, the information invented by Julius Erving is non-essential information because when you take it out, it makes sense. So because it's non-essential information, you surround it by commas or dashes or parentheses.